If you're an entrepreneur and summer's coming up, don't you take your foot off the gas. Isaac Shapiro is going to tell you what you need to do to put your business in position to succeed today on Driven by Purpose.
This is Driven by Purpose, a show about finding your purpose, building fulfilling careers, and helping people with disabilities live better lives. Hosted by three men who've lived it and are here to help you do the same. Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Clean Logic, a leading bath and skincare company and a true pioneer in creating inclusive workplaces and increasing employment opportunities for people with disabilities.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Driven by Purpose. My name is Evan Roosevelt. I'm along with the co-founder of Clean Logic and the Inspiration Foundation, Isaac Shapiro. What's up, Isaac?
What's going on, Evan?
All right, summer's around the corner. Summer for a lot of people is a time to relax, kick back, and try to, enjoy themselves. But if you are a founder, if you're a visionary, you're an entrepreneur, maybe not the time to do that. Isaac, you've started your own business. You are all of those things that I mentioned. My question for you, just right off the bat, because we're going to explore this topic on today's show. If you are starting a business, in the process of launching a business, or in the early phases of starting a business, and summer is approaching, what is your advice to somebody who is in that phase with summer approaching? Is it an opportunity, or is it a time to kind of like chill out and kind of get ready for like a hard launch in September?
Yeah, well, I think if you were to talk to the 20-year-old, 30-year-old Isaac, it's just grind, and keep it going. I always felt like my football coach always had this mentality of like rest when you die. So I always loved it. And again, I didn't have a family. I didn't have kids. So I had this, this is the time where everybody's resting. I'm going to go and get it. And even I was telling a story to someone else that back in the day, I had the opportunity where the person that I was dating at the time was with Fiji Water, and Prince really loved Fiji Water, and I got to go to Prince's house, and he performed with 300.
Prince, like the artist formerly known as Prince?
Yes,
like,
in the
like
Hollywood
Purple
Hills.
Rain?
Yeah.
You met Prince?
All because he wanted Fiji Water to just give him free water at his place, and it was just amazing.
Okay,
and
wait, nope. We're gonna stop for a second. How was Prince?
The print was amazing. Well, first I could just go through the list. You had Dr. Phil, and I'm not the Hollywood guy, actually, so you could probably fill in the gaps. So the guys from Goonies, the adults, I'm like, I love Goonies as a kid.
Wait, we're at the same
same house. And another side note, I delivered pizzas in Van Nuys area in the Hollywood Hills. So the funny thing, it was the house in Mulholland Drive where Shaq lived. A lot of the different stars. And so I used to deliver pizzas into that neighborhood. Martin Lawrence lived down the place. And so it was just this ironic place of like, oh my God, this is where I used to deliver pictures. And it was a house that he rented only for the summertime. And what he was doing was he was celebrating. He was one of the first artists to sell out one of the Colosseums in England for like 30 nights straight. And he had this private party. So he was supposed to go on at 11. He didn't go on until 2. I was really amazed on, he's not that big of a guy, and, just came in and celebrated. And there's me, the entrepreneur, like, we got to go. I got to work at 7 a.m. tomorrow. I don't know. and I'm looking back and I'm like, what an idiot. That's the time, like, you don't have those times, especially I didn't
to interface with some of the most famous people of all time.
Everybody, I saw P. Diddy there. I won't even talk about what I saw there.
That's maybe when you want to leave the party.
I won't even talk about what I saw. I saw Eddie Murphy there. It was just like, it was the who's who. And I was like, wow, all because he wanted Fiji Water. And it was one of those opportunities that, again, as an entrepreneur, because I was so focused on, I got to be at the office at 7 a.m. on a Saturday, and this was a Friday night. So when you take back it to the summertime, it would definitely, like, I didn't know how to stop and smell the roses. And so I think that's why this show is important for us to talk about, because no matter what the grind is, no matter what your bank account says, you got to stop. You really got to just focus, because what I have learned, when you don't recharge the battery, it really drives you into that stress moment. So really, for me, as, like, looking back, it's I wish I took more time to be with friends and family. And so those are the things that, I hope today as we get into this, yes, startup mode, it's all about, you know, survival. And I can't tell you, you can't not do something because I was there where I had to get something done. And we packed our own orders in a warehouse. Like my mom's always like, "You work too hard." And I'm like, "Well, who else is going to do that?" So, and now my mom is very proud
I
of the
wish you
work.
hadn't told me the Prince story because now I don't know how I'm going to shake that the rest of this interview. Like, come on, man.
Oh,
Like, was he playing basketball? Was he cooking pancakes? Like, did you see Charlie Murphy there? Like, what are we talking about?
we
Anyway.
got that TMZ in you. Uh oh. So yeah.
Anyway. All right. All right. So that's very cool, by the way. What, in your experience, you've been in business now, doing this 25 years, like you said. What is the number one thing, the advantage that you were able to kind of really, really kind of exploit during the summer months that you weren't really able to take advantage of the rest of the year?
I think a lot of it is just, those summer Fridays again. I'm calling those summer Fridays. It was like, gosh, I trying to get stuff done and people weren't around, but I actually learned it was an opportunity, to really get my own work, done. And so those are, some of the things that I saw that I was like, okay, summer Fridays, like I'm going to start to take my time. Again, I probably should have spent more time maybe going with friends and doing that, but I really saw it as an opportunity. It's like, hey, this is my me time. But I really think, the summertime, really a lot of you just constantly hear, they're on vacation. Can we meet in August? And so it really is a time to try to get ahead, get ready for that back half of the year. Because I think it's in almost every industry, we could probably all say you're always dealing with people out. So it's really how do you, use those time to really stay ahead and get ready to close out the back half of the year and hopefully hit your goals because, at least in the retail side, you really don't have much after August to really make an impact on, that year's sales.
Do you all right, so that's when you were younger and you were like, all right, everyone that's kind of competitors and places like that are kind of taking a foot off the gas a little bit. This is my time to kind of hunker down and try to make up some ground on some of these people. I get that. Now that you're a little older, more experienced, do you keep that in mind when the summer comes around? Do you keep in mind that there's somebody younger and hungrier that might be trying to catch up on us and that we, if we take our foot off the gas a little bit, somebody might be creeping up on on us.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I think we've heard it from, our guests and we all, have heard it. It's about your team and how you hire. And, I really believe Mike and I talk about how important a Vistage or a strategic coach, those support business groups and getting to know other entrepreneurs, they teach you a lot of different pieces. And I think the number one thing that I've taken away in the last, let's say 7 years or 8 years, having, a business coach and a business group, it's you got to start with yourself first. If you're not mentally right or you're not like on top of it and you're tired, like it's gonna bleed over to your employees. And so you should be looking at this time to really rest up. It's at that middle of the year and gear up for the back half, right? But I think it's more of now I'm like, well, I got to focus on myself. And now it's not me, it's my family, my girls. Like the biggest thing that I want to make sure that it's no matter what your business, especially if you have a family, the biggest feedback that I received is from so many mentors that are older that have been there and done it. They said, especially in the corporate world, they were saying like, we worked so hard back in the day and I gave up so much of my kids' lives to, help, get promoted so that I was thinking, I'm saving for the future, kids' college fund. But when they look back in their career, they're like, those moments I missed and I can never make that back. And I probably would have still been able to accomplish the same thing that I'm doing today. It just, we were taught to like never let up. And I think it's that driving component, even when we talk about Mitch Harrison, right? It's those things that we tell ourselves as that competitive edge. And so for me, it's really focusing on myself. And I think one of the things, I just got back, even from the year, it's been a tough year. With the dining in the dark, that really took some things. We geopolitically obviously was continued things, and then it's just been a busy year. And all of a sudden, I'm like sitting in February, and I'm like to my wife, we haven't booked our vacation because I've now set a goal in my lifetime that I at least need to be taking 4 weeks of vacation, and I'm trying to get to 6 weeks. And I know that probably sounds a little bit crazy for people because maybe a lot of people do that, but I probably didn't take vacation, until I started meeting my wife. And even on vacation, I was working all the time. And so now I'm not trying to do that. Using some of the skill sets that my coaches have given me. For example, the first thing you should do is build your vacation a year in advance. And going back to this vacation, if I would have booked this this year of February for next February, I would have built stuff around my thing. And so I ended up scrambling because I had so much to do and I didn't want to commit. So I only got 3 days and it was a quick trip, whereas I wanted to spend more time and it was for time for my wife and I had to get away from the kids and for us to be personally connected because I think that's so important to be connected to your family because if things are great at home, you're a great leader. You're showing up at the office. And so that's where I see the commitment of
Yeah.
really saying, hey, I got to be intentional. I got to make it a goal. And I got to start saying, if that's the goal of 4 weeks, laying it out. And then the last thing, it's like when I go on vacation, because Mike, I wish he was here. Yeah, in my 30s, he'd be like, "You're gonna be the father that's on vacation and like just working all the time and doing that." And I'm like, "You're right, I am. I'm gonna be proud of that. I don't want to be that guy now. I love my girls, and so it's even making sure, like, okay, if I do have to do something this past year, I gave my wife the days I'm gonna need to work and do some things because there are just some things happening. But out of the 2 weeks that we took, I really, didn't spend that much time doing that. And so I'm still learning how to do it. It's not easy. I think it's again habitual on how we early on and how do you get yourself to not create that bad habit? Because even though I've got a great team, I'm still struggling with, hey, how do I just let off the pedal? Because I do believe when I take care of myself, I show up better for the company and the employees and the stuff that we do externally as we go out in front of the consumer.
Yeah, I wish I could relate with you on the planning stuff that far out, but unfortunately, I can never do that. Maybe it's just the work that I've been in. There's less consistency in it when you work in entertainment, especially in news and stuff. The way it is with us, it's like there's you can plan stuff and then something happens and it's like you can't go on a vacation. You can't do it. And so I've never been able to really do that. Even now, even though I'm not in news anymore, I still, with my kids and stuff, my wife and I are still super gun shy when it comes to trying to plan vacations months in advance. We try to like think about that and kind of soft plan stuff out, but we don't really dial in our planning until like maybe a month or two out, just because something could always happen, especially with my daughter and the medical stuff. Where I was like, we're like really super nervous about that. So I completely agree with you on it's important to try and block out time and have that time. I wish I could take the advice that the professionals are giving you to try and do that a year and protect those moments because it is important to have that family time and to be able to step away and to separate and have that work-life balance. I think that's so important.
Well, Evan, let me flip the script on you a little bit
Sure.
because I've watched and learned. I think one of the biggest things that like I said, we're all learning from each other, right? So I think one of the things that I could say I've learned from you and Mike. I mean, Mike and I being business partners, he's not a communicator on like, hey, this is what I've done. I've had to go on vacation to see things, and I'm like, Mike, you should be telling us about these things. These are like amazing. So I've really learned about you can't do everything like a family where how hard it is to plan to go on vacation. So you were on vacation, with your wife. I know Mexico, that was an interesting trip, but like
Yeah.
drug lords and everything. But like,
Yeah. That
what do
was
you
fun.
think? Yeah, like what do you think? Because I even agree, entertainment, man. I have so much respect living in LA. Yeah, I don't know how you guys do. It's like you could be gig for a year, full on die hard, and all of a sudden like it's dry for 6 months and But I even want to take it from the step further. It's not just entertainment, but like, you having child disability and you talking about like the fear of just getting away with you and your wife or even going as a family. So what do you think is a way to do that if you can't do that so that you could have those moments because you know how important it is because you've talked about it on the show?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, for my wife and I, whenever we go away without the kids, and we really do try to, carve out time for my wife and I to have time away, at least a night or two without the kids every now and then. Like once or twice a year, we'll do like an overnight or 2 nights away without the kids just so we can have time by ourselves. Of course, the last time that happened, we did I talk about the Mexico trip on the show?
I don't think you did. I think, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Sam and I decided to try and go big, and we went to Punta Mita in Mexico, which is right by Puerto Vallarta. And we're like, we're going to do 3 nights in Mexico, Punta Mita, without the kids.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, go for
Because
it.
you pivoted from Hawaii, if I remember.
We
So
were
I
gonna-
thought that
we were-
was I
we
was like,
were-
even like, wow, you're going to Mexico. I thought you're going to Hawaii.
We were
So
going to go to Hawaii, and then
Yep.
like 2 or 3 days before the trip, we saw the weather in Hawaii was like super bad. It was like thunderstorming and stuff. And so we're like, oh, we're not, we rarely get a trip. So we're like, let's pivot. And we were able to change our entire trip to go to Punta Mita instead. And it was actually cheaper. So we're like, great, even better. So we pivoted the whole trip to Punta Mita. And the first day we got there, it was great. Second day was great. And the third day we woke up and we had a note we woke up in the morning and we had a note underneath our door. And it was like, hey, you may have heard that there was an incident that happened down the way. Don't worry, everything's okay. And we're like, what happened? And we look online, and that was the big incident with the cartel. You remember that one where the Mexican army killed the cartel leader, and then there was like the retaliatory attacks and things were blowing up, and there was people were dying and stuff was exploding, and we were in Punta Mita at a hotel, and we were told to shelter in place, and they stopped the flights. The airport was shut down, and the main road to get from Punta Mita back to the Puerto Vallarta airport was shut down. We were told that we weren't allowed to leave the hotel, and it was very scary. So like our little quick 3-day trip turned into what's going to happen? Like we had my daughter requires, a special person to help care for her. And she was here taking care of the kids back here in Los Angeles. And we were very concerned. Well, not only for our own safety, we weren't really super concerned for our own safety. I mean, it was concerning because there was a cartel war happening 25 minutes down the street. And that's
Did you
very
hear
concerning.
Did you hear all like the bombs and gunshots going off?
We didn't hear any of that stuff. But we were told people that were working at the resort were like, it's not nothing, and to us, we're like, okay. Cause at first you're like, okay, there's this incident happening. We're like, oh, that's crazy. And you see it on social media, you're like, whoa. But we're like, that's pretty far away. Right. But the people that were working at the resort were telling us like, well, it's about 25, 30 minutes away. But also like, if they come here, we're kind of sitting ducks. And also like the roads are shut down. So like, it was scary. But not to the point where we were like seriously concerned for our safety. It was just,
well, there's no even flights going in and
hard to
out.
articulate it. Yeah. It was concerning because you're there and you're not completely safe, but it was never like a real serious fear for my life, if that makes sense. Does that kind of make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely.
But the bigger fear was that like we were going to be stuck in Mexico for a longer amount of time away from our children who require like really, my daughter in particular requires specialized care. And we're like, man, the one time we take a trip and now we're separated from our kids, and how are we going to do this? But fortunately they opened the airport up pretty quickly and we were able to get back. So it all worked out. But man, that was scary. And you talk about trying to alleviate your fears and try to separate. Okay, it's never going to happen to us. It's all going to be fine. But then you're stuck in another country, kind of at the mercy of the government, hoping they open up the airport again, trying to get back to your family. And you're just like, this is.
Do you think this would impact
it.
just your thought going around? Because like you said, I'm sure you're probably.
Yeah,
I was thinking
yes.
this for you. Because I also had a friend that was coming to the Dining in the Dark event. And he's like, I don't think I'm going to make it. And it was funny because he's like, every time I go on vacation, I get sick. So if I don't come, you got my money. I'm don't worry, you can fill someone else for me. And then all of a sudden he texts me, he's like, I'm stuck in Mexico. And then it was you guys were literally texting me and you guys left within 30 minutes to the airport. You guys were both texting me. So I thought that was really interesting. But I
Yeah.
was thinking for you, God, I hope Evan doesn't feel like this wasn't worth it and I don't want to do it, because the flip side is like, that's that feeling that I hear you and Mike talk about. Like, what if something happens? What happens to my kid? Like, right? So did that
Yeah.
cross your mind?
Yes. Yes. I mean, honestly, that was the most stressful part, is like, if something happens to us here, like what's going to happen to my kids there. Right. So like we were rallying around our community back in Los Angeles to make sure that like the people that were helping our kids had help. They were able to like get to school and like had the resources that they needed to like be okay. And, it's that my daughter was able to, access the resources that she needed for as long as she needed. But yeah, it was scary in the sense that like we were really, we were stuck in another country in a conflict, right? We were 25 minutes away from like a serious conflict, in a shelter in place situation, away from our kids. And that was scary. I mean, I don't want to sensationalize it and make it scarier than it actually was, but it was not great.
Yeah.
And in all seriousness, it's going to impact the way that we travel from now on. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I'm going back to Mexico anytime soon. I'm not. That's off the list. I've had a great time in Mexico in the past, and I'm super grateful for the people at the hotel and everybody that we were around, and that was amazing. But like, dude, we were 25 minutes away from a cartel war where they were engaging with the army and they were flying helicopters around and stuff was blowing up around us. Like, I'm not going back there. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Not anytime soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, but I'll stick to stuff around me for the time being.
No, hey, like, I mean, I know we're trying to talk about entrepreneur, but I mean, in general, like, hey, anything can happen. Travel can be dangerous at times, right? I mean,
Yeah, man.
even I'm flying out of LaGuardia now, now living on the East Coast. And I'm not gonna lie, like LaGuardia and JFK, those are busy airports, and to see that, airport, but
yeah, I mean, look,
right.
I'll say this. I know that people say like, look, you can put yourself in danger walking across the street, right? Anytime you get in a
Correct.
car, you take a risk. But when you were a parent of a parent in general, I feel like most people try to reduce the stupid risks that they take because you don't want to put your family at risk, right? And when you are the parent of a kid with a severe disability, I feel like you try to take even less risks because you realize that like, not only do your kids depend on you normally, but in this situation, it's amplified because your daughter, in this case, my daughter, like super depends on us, like, right? More than most situations. So I'm not trying to put myself in a situation where like anything bad could possibly happen. And like, in those moments where like I'm sitting there, it was just, you just feel like, what did I do? Like, what a stupid decision to come here. Like, we knew that there were cartels in Mexico and there was shit going on. Like, of course you don't expect it to happen, but like to be in another country away from my kid, I just felt like I couldn't help but feel like, what a stupid decision I made. Like, what a stupid decision. And, I try to tell myself rationally, like, I couldn't have seen this coming. Like, you didn't know that like this was going to happen and you were there, but like it's going to impact my decision-making moving forward. Like, how can it not?
Yeah. Hey, I just think the important thing is we've talked about in our journey with, especially you early on, Evan, talking about carrying stuff on your shoulders and the responsibility, but it is important to find that rest and to get there. So,
Yeah.
I think that's what we're talking about in general, whether, you are an entrepreneur, Evan, you start doing your own shows, you're always got things happening, so it's important for you, to also make sure you're getting that break, and,
well,
getting there. So yeah. Hey,
Santa Barbara's great. And from what I know, no operating cartels.
Montecito is one of my
Yeah, it's
favorites.
great.
So yeah. So, but no, so I think, the whole thing that we want to see, is, how do we get people to continue, as we talk about, some of our pieces that we've talked about, mental health and burnout, I think that's, part of what we're trying to promote here is in this conversation as the summertime's coming in is how do you stop and smell the roses and, think about your family and friends and, if it's not going to Mexico, just trying to make sure you're, getting away and, especially if you're in Los Angeles, you got other places to drive to. You guys, beautiful
man.
San Diego,
That's right.
and doing that. So yeah.
But again, no disrespect to Mexico. Love Mexico, but gonna take some time. Gonna take some time off for a little bit. Gonna take some time off. It's okay. It's a cautious uncoupling for the next couple of months.
I didn't mean to pull up the healing on it, but I hope it's a good healing moment for that whole moment. But I felt it, like I said, when I really felt it, you being down there. You didn't say it on text, but I felt it, and I was thinking that in the back of my mind. I'm like, yeah. So yeah.
Anyway, all right. I know we're out of time now. Sorry to take you all through my trauma, but it's okay. We're all good now. But yeah, I'll take some vacation recommendations if you want to drop them in the chat, if you want to drop them in the comment section, if you want to reach out on my Instagram, anything like that. Tell me where I should go next.
Morgan's Wonderland, by the way. I'm working on trying to get to Morgan's Wonderland as I go out to San Antonio. So
There we go. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Morgan's, here we come.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here at Driven by Purpose. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, share this, tell a friend and tell a friend. Shout out to Mike. We'll see him on the next episode. He'll be back. That's going to do it. We'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Adios.